The billionaire CEO froze when his Arabic translator didn't show up, but the shy black waitress calmly stepped forward and began speaking fluent Arabic, shocking everyone in the room. Subscribe now or disappear from our community forever. Like, comment, and share to guarantee we meet again. Let's start the tale. Where the hell is Victor? Elias Thorne paced the private dining room of the Gilded Compass, checking his titanium watch for the fourth time in 2 minutes. 7 p.m. The Arabic specialist was officially late, and the Al Hassan delegation would arrive any minute. Call him again. Marcus Bell, his chief financial officer, shook his head after another failed attempt. Still going straight to voicemail, Elias. I've left 5 messages. Perfect. Just perfect. Elias ran a hand through his dark, precisely cut hair, the only visible sign of the panic bubbling beneath his CEO composure. At 36, he'd built Thorne Energy Solutions, TES, into a global powerhouse, focusing on sustainable development. Now, the final closing on the $450 billion Riyadh Green City initiative hinged on this dinner. The Al Hassans, representing the Saudi royal fund, were due. Without a reliable translator, the technical discussions could implode the deal. The maitre d' appeared, his expression regretfully neutral. Mr. Thorne, your guests have arrived. 4 men in immaculate traditional wear entered, led by Jamal Al Hassan. Jamal, the younger negotiator, spoke perfect English, but his father, Sheikh Tariq Al Hassan, the true decision-maker and head of the fund, spoke exclusively in Arabic. Mr. Thorne, Jamal extended his hand. A pleasure. The pleasure is ours, Mr. Al Hassan, Elias replied, his handshake firm, his smile forced. He gestured to the table, silently communicating the disaster to Marcus. We are screwed. As they were seated, the sheikh immediately steered the conversation toward business. Jamal began the diplomatic translation, but the lack of specificity was obvious. My father wishes to discuss the specifics of the initiative, Jamal relayed. He has questions regarding the energy consumption projections for the new desalination units. He feels the figures on page 62 of the proposal may minimize the long-term impact on the regional water table. Elias's mind raced. He had prepared a detailed technical response, but conveying the nuance, the flux capacitor technology, the specific reverse osmosis protocols, through Jamal would be impossible. He needed a formal, expert translator. He was losing the room. He pressed the service button, desperate for a moment to regroup. A second later, the door opened. A young woman entered, carrying a silver tray with water. She was small, perhaps 28, dressed in the restaurant's black slacks and white shirt. She was black, with tightly coiled hair pulled into a simple bun, and moved with a quiet, almost invisible efficiency. This was Naomi Clark, the waitress assigned to the private room. As Elias stammered out a general, high-level assurance about their commitment to efficiency, the older Sheikh Tariq leaned forward and delivered several rapid sentences in deeply technical Arabic, gesturing emphatically toward the documents. Jamal listened, then hesitated, struggling for the correct English term. My father, Jamal stammered, is concerned that the geodesic solar panel arrays may not withstand the peak summer dust storms, specifically concerning the photovoltaic cell stress index mentioned on Appendix B. Elias froze. This required a scientific, diplomatic reply, not a paraphrase. He was about to apologize for the delay when something extraordinary happened. Naomi Clark, her hand hovering over the sheikh's water glass, spoke. Her voice was soft but perfectly clear, cutting through the anxiety in the room. Afwan, Sheikh Tariq. May I respectfully inquire if your concern pertains to the nanoparticle coating resilience of the cells or the structural integrity related to the sand ablation metrics detailed on page 81. The entire table fell silent. Sheikh Tariq stared at her, then broke into a warm, surprised smile and responded to her instantly in fluent, rapid-fire Arabic. Elias watched in stunned disbelief as his waitress, the shy black woman he hadn't even truly seen until that moment, engaged in a highly technical policy discussion with one of the wealthiest investors in the Middle East. Jamal leaned toward Elias, eyes wide with amazement. She is asking my father to clarify the specific environmental conditions he is using for the stress test model. Naomi then turned to Elias, her eyes, clear, intelligent, and fiercely focused, flickering with a trace of uncertainty, as if realizing the profound breach of protocol. Sir, Sheikh Tariq is worried the project assumes a 10-micron tolerance for dust density, but his team's data suggests an intermittent 15-micron reality during the monsoon season. He believes the mitigation measures are insufficient for longevity. Her English was flawless, precise, and professional. Tell him he is absolutely right to be concerned, Elias replied, adrenaline kicking his mind back into high gear. That's why TES is deploying self-cleaning electrostatic shields over the panels, a technology we adapted from NASA. The nanorough surfaces minimize dust adhesion, ensuring less than 5% efficiency loss even at 15 microns. Our competitors haven't factored that into their proposals. Naomi instantly relayed this information, injecting the exact political and technical weight the statement required. Sheikh Tariq's stern expression melted into one of profound satisfaction. He spoke again, addressing Naomi directly. Mr. Al-Hassan says he is profoundly impressed with your technical precision. She translated, her gaze still fixed on the sheikh. He appreciates that the language is not lost in translation. He says your knowledge of the terminology is superior to what he has encountered in Riyadh. The next hour was a blur of smooth, complex negotiation facilitated by Naomi. She seamlessly transitioned between policy, engineering, and finance terminology. Elias watched not just her skill, but her composure. She maintained the quiet professionalism of a waitress while wielding the vocabulary of a diplomat. 30 minutes later, the agreement was verbally secured. We are prepared to sign the initial commitment tonight, Jamal announced, beaming. The full investment will follow due diligence. Elias felt a wave of relief, followed by a surge of pure fascination. Miss Clark, he said, turning to her once the contracts were retrieved. I don't know how to thank you. You just saved the most important deal of my career. She lowered her gaze slightly. I should return to my regular duties, sir. The kitchen needs me. Wait, Elias insisted, feeling a strange resistance to letting her fade back into the background. Stay? We still need you for the dinner conversation. I will compensate you 10 times whatever they pay you here. She hesitated, a conflict visible in her eyes. I don't think that would be appropriate. Before she could retreat, Sheikh Tariq addressed her in Arabic. Naomi listened, then gave a small nod of acquiescence. Sheikh Tariq has requested that I remain, she explained. He says I bring honor to the table. Elias pulled out an empty chair beside him. Then it settled. Please join us, Miss Clark. As she removed her apron and took the seat, Elias studied her profile. Who was this woman? How did a seemingly shy waitress possess the linguistic precision and diplomatic composure of a world-class policy advisor? Elias Thorne, the man who prided himself on solving every puzzle, realized he had just met the most intriguing mystery of his life. Naomi left the Gilded Compass that night, the envelope containing Elias Thorne's generous check burning a hole in her purse. She had just committed the 2 acts she swore she never would. She had exposed her skill, and she had accepted a job offer from a prominent CEO. She had broken cover. 2 days later, Elias's brother, Julian Thorne, arrived at Elias's office with a manila envelope. You were right, Elias. She's not who she says she is. The name Naomi Clark is recent, but her background is scrubbed. Asking about her raised serious flags with my DC contacts. What did you find? Elias demanded. Julian slid a photograph across the desk. It showed a younger Naomi in a formal gown, her smile open and confident, standing beside a notorious politician. Her real name is Naomi Alara King, Julian said quietly. Former chief policy advisor for Middle East affairs at the national security think tank. She vanished 2 years ago after a scandal involving Congressman Vernon Vance. Elias stared at the confident woman in the photo. Vance. The man backed by the fossil fuel conglomerates. The same. My contact wouldn't give details, but he implied she was set up, framed for leaking sensitive documents. The man is ruthless. Elias closed his eyes. The waitress wasn't hiding from an accident. She was running from a monster. He called Naomi's number. You're making assumptions about me, she said stiffly on the phone. I'm making observations, Elias countered, his voice low and serious. Naomi, I know who you are. Naomi Alara King. And I know who you're running from. Congressman Vance. If you are in trouble, my company is a better shield than a kitchen apron. A long silence followed. I'll be at your office at 9 a.m. tomorrow, she finally conceded, hanging up. When she arrived, she was tense, but resolved. She told the story, discovering that Congressman Vance was funneling illegal subsidies from an oil giant, a rival to TES, in exchange for sabotaging renewable energy efforts, including the Riyadh Green City project. When she tried to go public, Vance's allies destroyed her career, framing her and forcing her into hiding. If I hadn't stepped in the other night, Vance's paid translator, Victor, would have ruined your deal. and Vance would have secured more funding for his dark money network, she concluded, her voice thick with pain. I told you this, Elias, because it puts you at risk. He is untouchable. I doubt that, Elias said, his eyes blazing with a protective fire she hadn't expected. He stood, summoning his chief counsel, William Abernathy. We're not going on a crusade, Naomi. We're simply providing you with the resources to be yourself again. You are not a criminal. You are an asset. 3 weeks later, Naomi stood with Elias on the 50th floor of a new office building overlooking the Riyadh skyline. She was no longer wearing a waitress uniform, but a bespoke suit, looking every inch the chief policy strategist Elias had named her. She was not just translating. She was providing high-level policy advice. The Sheikh is happy with the structural review, she said, organizing her files. He respects the commitment to the nanoparticle coding resilience. You won his trust, Elias. You won his trust, Elias corrected. He turned to her, his expression different now, softer, more reflective. I used to measure my life by quarterly earnings. Now, I measure it by the look of hope in your eyes. Naomi felt her heart flutter. You gave me back my life. I have no words for that. I have something that might help, he said, handing her a small encrypted drive. Abernathy's team recovered the encrypted communications ledger from a subsidiary logistics firm. It details every payment Vance received. Naomi's breath hitched. It's proof. It's the truth, Elias confirmed. It's enough for Abernathy to begin the process of clearing your name. No more hiding, Naomi. You are Naomi Alara King, and you are invaluable. As she held the drive, a weight lifted from her shoulders, the burden of 2 years of fear and silence. She was no longer a victim. She was a woman poised to reclaim her future. Thank you, she whispered. Elias simply smiled, the confident CEO facade dissolving into something genuine and warm. I think this is a project we're going to work on together for a very long time. Naomi smiled back, a full, unburdened smile that Elias realized he had never seen before. The journey to redemption had begun with the smallest, most impulsive act of kindness. A shy black waitress choosing courage over safety to save a man she barely knew. In saving him, she had saved herself. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe now and comment what country you are watching from. Like, comment, and share to guarantee we meet again. Your support means so much.